Night falls, darkness fills the streets. In that quiet space, the flowers in Teeri's shop seem to radiate a magical, strangely beautiful light. The delicate flower petals trembled slightly in the wind, as if they were whispering something that only those who truly listen could understand. But tonight is not like other nights. She felt something strange, like an invisible omen creeping into her mind. Not sure when, she began to hear voices coming from the flowers, whispering, vague sounds, sometimes seemingly like prayers echoing from another world. At first, she thought she was just imagining it, but with each passing day, those voices became clearer and more haunting. Teeri is the owner of a small but vibrant flower shop. She loves the beauty and charm of bright flowers, as if each petal carries a separate soul. This morning, as usual, Teeri sipped a cup of coffee, put on a simple but elegant dress, then walked out of the house and headed to the store. The street is still crowded, cars rushing by, loud horns mingling with the hurried footsteps of people going to work. The morning sunlight penetrates high-rise buildings, creating sparkling streaks of light on the road surface. But there was something in the air that made her feel uneasy. A vague restlessness clung to her, as if some invisible eyes were following her every step. She shook her head, trying to get rid of that feeling. Today was a beautiful day, and she didn't want to let idle thoughts affect her mood. She smiled, held her head high, and continued walking. Fresh flowers were waiting for her at the store, and just the thought of touching the soft petals made her feel happier. A sharp pain suddenly squeezed her chest. The pain came so suddenly that she had no time to react. Her breathing was choked, her hands weakly clutched her chest, but to no avail. Her eyes widened in horror as she felt her body no longer obey her will. Her legs wobbled, her knees fell to the cold ground. In a short moment, she realized that all the sounds around her were gradually becoming distant. Then suddenly, she felt light, light as a feather blown by the wind. "You're floating." "No, she is flying." When she looked down, she saw her own body lying motionless on the ground, surrounded by strangers rushing over. A panic invaded her mind. She looked down, witnessing passers-by rushing over, bending down to check her breathing, gently shaking her shoulders that were gradually becoming cold. Someone tremblingly dialed the emergency number. Their panicked voice rang out in the cramped space of cars still rushing by. She saw everything, heard everything, but could do nothing. She tried to scream, tried to touch her body, but her transparent hands just passed through everything. She left her body. She died. Or rather, her soul entered another world. Fear wrapped tightly around her, but strangely, inside there was a strange feeling of peace. She did not walk, but gradually drifted through a dark, empty tunnel. Around her, the darkness was thick and terrifyingly quiet. The road is long and has no end, no way out. She tried to look forward, but there was only an endless void. With each passing second, she felt more clearly an indescribable, powerful energy following her, enveloping her like an invisible force leading her fate to a place she had never known. Suddenly, a bright circle appeared in front of her. At first, it was just as small as a dot of light floating in the endless space, but then it gradually grew, radiating more and more, gentle, warm light. A warmth spread and gently wrapped around her, making all the fears in her heart gradually disappear. She felt an overwhelming love, an invisible comfort, like someone's arms embracing her, comforting her. That circle was like a gate, constantly growing. Then suddenly, she felt an invisible force pulling her towards that light. Suddenly, a resounding sound filled the space, powerful and powerful, as if coming from a distant, unreachable realm. "Teeri, you came here because you had to witness important things." And then the space around her suddenly changed. The darkness is gradually replaced by strange but familiar silhouettes. They have no discernible form, just shimmering, translucent entities, but from them radiate an energy filled with wisdom, peace, and unconditional love. They didn't say anything, but Teeri felt that they were guiding her, showing her the way to a place destined for fate. The feeling of fear in her heart gradually disappeared, giving way to unprecedented peace and gentleness. The darkness fades, revealing an unfamiliar earth, surrounded by invisible streams of energy, streams of light that connect everything from people to thoughts. I saw prayers sparkling in space, some reaching their destination, some disappearing. Then a tear appeared. The battle between light and darkness, raging since before time began. From the bright light, a silhouette gradually appeared. Jesus appeared. He wears a simple outfit but still radiates indescribable greatness. His appearance is not at all flashy, but the radiance radiating from him is so strong that it makes the surrounding space seem to settle. When his eyes touched me, I felt like I was drawn into an endlessly vast universe. Those eyes contain a galaxy, eternity, and a vast love that humans can hardly understand. I feel like my mind is completely blank. All doubts about his existence disappeared in that moment. This is no longer a legend, a vague belief, but the truth. I am standing before the Most High. Even though he knows everything about me, every joy, every sadness, even every mistake I have ever made, his gaze holds no judgment. On the contrary, it was filled with tolerance and protection, as if he had been watching over me all along. I no longer felt fear or guilt, but only a deep sense of peace. He didn't say anything at that moment, just stood there, but his presence was enough to make me feel that I was accepted, loved, and forgiven. I knelt before him, my heart beating loudly between fear and indescribable joy. The light from him envelops me, dispelling all doubts in my mind. He looked at me. His eyes contained the whole universe, gentle but full of majesty. A voice rang out, not loud, but enough to shake my soul. "Teeri, you were brought here because there were things you needed to witness." The space around her suddenly transformed, opening up a majestic and surreal scene. Before her eyes, the earth floated in the middle of the universe, not just a blue planet, but a living entity, glowing in pure light. All life, all movement, all ideas blend together, creating billowing, swirling streams of energy like the endless flow of the universe. Around it, millions and billions of voices echoed like golden threads woven in the air. They are prayers, thoughts, desires, and fears of people. Some of them sparkled, moving toward a bright source of light, while others gradually faded, vanishing into thin air, never reaching their destination. Those are prayers. Some reach their destination, others disappear into thin air, never reaching their destination. Under his gaze, the truth opens like a sacred scroll. I see the flow of energy, light, and darkness interwoven in the invisible tapestry of the world. Faith, love, and kindness radiate brilliant strands of light, weaving a web that protects humanity. But on the contrary, fear, hatred, and division are like dark cracks, corrosive and weakening the balance. Jesus raised his hand. A wave spread from him, and immediately, I saw human history stretching out before my eyes like a never-ending stream. Not just recorded events, but invisible vibrations, spiritual storms that silently operate beneath the surface. I see civilizations rise in a blaze of glory and then fade away, leaving indelible marks on the passage of time. He looked at me. His eyes were like an endless ocean, containing mysteries that had never been told. "Teeri, many people have forgotten their roots, but I have come to remind," and then I saw them. A group of people stood in a circle, light shining from within. not just a reflection, but as if they were the source of light. Their aura was different, unlike any entity I had ever seen in the spiritual realm. Their presence is strong and profound, like torches in the dark night, like souls who have reached a level of truth that the rest of the world is still searching for. They are black, and I know they are more than just humans. They are entities carrying an ancient secret, an important piece of the cosmic puzzle. These people are not just ordinary souls. They are rays of light in the darkness, carrying within them a sacred energy, an unbreakable connection with the Creator. No one can extinguish the fire burning within them, because it is not something that can be blown out by the wind of life, but is a fire lit from the very breath of the Eternal One. Their prayers are not just sounds echoing in the void. They are fires that flare up in the midst of darkness, breaking the chains of despair and opening paths of light that never existed before. Every prayer is a spear piercing the night, a call to awaken sleeping souls, a reminder that they were born with a noble purpose. I see their struggles, the unspeakable suffering, the oppression they have endured from generation to generation. Hands were tied, eyes were sealed, screams were drowned out by the power of the ruler. But no matter how much they were crushed, they still did not collapse. Even though they are forgotten, they do not disappear. Even if the world tries to strangle their souls, the connection between them and God cannot be broken. Amid the sacred veil of revelation, I saw Jesus standing there, his eyes filled with understanding and boundless compassion. People looked at me, then looked at them. People who had endured so much, but had never once lost faith. His voice rang out, not just a word, but an undeniable truth. They were chosen for a great mission. They were not the forgotten ones, but those who carried within them the light of truth. In their veins flowed the blood of warriors, of those blessed with wisdom, strength, and steadfastness. But this world tried to make them forget that. They were deceived, oppressed, made to believe that they were small, insignificant. But now, the truth must be revealed. His words ring like a bell that awakens every soul. I felt a deep pain welling up in my heart. How many people have been fed lies about themselves? How many people have been made to believe that they have no value? How many people have bowed their heads and accepted a fate that did not belong to them because they did not know that they were born to walk in glory? Jesus reached out his hand, and I saw light spreading from him like waves touching every soul. They began to awaken. A fire rose in their eyes, not a fire of hatred, but a fire of awareness. They begin to remember who they really are. The chains fell, soaring voices. A vibration spread throughout space, as if the entire universe was witnessing this moment. Jesus looked at me. His voice rang out like thunder in the quiet sky. They are my warriors, my light in a dark world. They are no longer hidden, no longer bound. It is time for them to step out, strong and proud, because their time has come. And when he said those words, I knew that a change had begun. No one can stop what is about to happen, because these souls are no longer forgotten. They have awakened, and the world will never be the same. Then I saw the spirits of their ancestors, those who had gone before, those who had endured, fought, and sacrificed, praying unceasingly. Those prayers resonate through time, do not fade, are not lost, but crystallize into a sacred shield, protecting future generations from the chains of the world. They are not just simple pleas, but the fires of faith that burn brightly, like torches in the middle of the night, leading the successors through the darkness. In that sacred light, I heard the voice of Jesus, not as an ordinary word, but as a declaration, a command echoing from eternity. The world has sought to impose shackles on them, not just in the flesh, but in the soul. It has filled their minds with lies, telling them they are weak, that they are nothing in the great world, but I say that they carry within me my own strength. They say they are insignificant, but I say that they are the ones I chose before the world was founded." As he spoke, I saw the chains begin to break. But those are not just iron or stone chains, but invisible shackles, fear, suspicion, division, and the dark veils of deception that have bound them for generations. The things that have weighed heavily on their souls, making them forget their true nature, are now being broken. What once made them bow their heads, fear, and lose their way is now collapsing before the great truth. Jesus continued, his voice filled with authority but also filled with love. "They are not just a people, they are a force, an army called by me, chosen by me to be the guides of the last days. They were not born to be conquered, but to lead, not to be silent, but to speak up, not to be swept along by the current of life, but to shape the destiny of humanity. I have placed on their shoulders a sacred mission, and now I am calling them back to myself. But they must awaken. They must stand up. They must shake off what once bound them and step into the place that I have destined for them from the beginning." And then I saw a change happening. People who previously bowed their heads in ignorance and fear are now raising their heads high. Their eyes lit up, as if they had just remembered something extremely important, a truth that had been forgotten for too long. They are no longer those lost in the darkness, but awakening warriors who are born to carry God's light. I see them coming out of the darkness of doubt and fear. I see them stronger, more steadfast, like ancient trees that have survived the storm, now growing stronger than ever. They are no longer bound by what the world has told them, but are starting to step into their own destiny. Jesus said, "The world will look to them, to be enlightened, to be healed, to find the path to faith. For I have placed in them a fire that no one can extinguish, a light that no darkness can cover. And through them, my kingdom will be revealed." And I know something great is emerging, a revival, a spiritual revolution is beginning. People who were once trampled on, despised, imprisoned in the chains of the world are now standing up with light in their eyes and faith in their hearts. And the world, whether it likes it or not, will witness that rise, the rise of a chosen people, an army of God. He raised his hand, and instantly, the scene around me changed. The bright light went out, giving way to a chaotic and violent scene. Before my eyes was an invisible but powerful battlefield, not an ordinary war, but a spiritual war between light and darkness. I saw beings of bright light, powerful and majestic, confronting dark, twisted shapes billowing out of the night. The roar mixed with ghostly whispers, creating a terrifying sound that seemed to echo from the depths of darkness. Bright rays of light tore through the darkness, but the darkness surged forward as if to engulf everything. I saw cities covered in darkness, but in the midst of the night, bright spots of light still glimmered, people who still kept their faith, communities that refused to succumb to the forces of darkness. Jesus looked at me. His voice sounded like thunder, but still imbued with peace. This is not just a battle of power or ambition, but a battle of souls. Light and darkness always exist side by side, but it is faith and love that will decide who is the winner. I see the forces of darkness targeting weak souls, seeking to dim the light within them. I see people deprived of hope, pushed into despair, but I also see people who are resilient, who never stop praying, who never stop fighting, who never lose the light in their hearts. A profound realization flooded my mind. This is not just a battle taking place in the invisible world. This is a battle right in the heart of every person. He turned back to look at me, his eyes still filled with determination and love. "Teeri, you saw, you understood, but you are not just an observer. You have a mission. I looked up at him, my heart filled with indescribable emotions. He continued, "You must return. You must convey what you have witnessed. Help them to have faith, for I am always here. I always listen, always protect them, even though, sometimes, they do not realize it. Every prayer reaches me, and I never abandon them." His words echoed throughout the space, penetrating every fiber of my soul. I felt a heavy responsibility on my shoulders, but at the same time a new strength arose within me. I am no longer the Teeri of yesterday. I have changed. The light around me gradually grew brighter, drawing me into a warm vortex. His silhouette is still there, still steadfast, like a lighthouse in the middle of the night sea. Then everything suddenly blurred. Suddenly, a strong suction grabbed me. It felt like an invisible vortex was pulling me back, so fast that I didn't have time to think or resist. Everything around became chaotic. The light receded, replaced by a familiar feeling of heaviness. I felt my breathing return, each beat in my chest becoming clearer and clearer. I opened my eyes. The hospital ceiling was white, the dim light shining down on stinging eyes. Soft cries, sighs, and worried looks enveloped me. Family, friends. They are here, surrounding me. Someone's hand gently holding me, trembling with emotion. I'm back, but I am no longer who I was yesterday. I carried an important mission, a truth that I cannot keep to myself. I have to say it. Black people must wake up. They are chosen. They must step out of the darkness and move towards their own light, because they are always watched over and protected by Him. They are not alone. They were never alone.